is. The system is rigged. Watch the corrupt politicians, and you'll see the economic truth. Let's talk about our health. Our appearance plays a huge role in our overall satisfaction with life. Unfortunately, tons of anti-aging companies take advantage of that. Many of the products these companies promote, however, fall short, simply because they don't get to the root of the problem. It's called 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒.com. This works because it supercharges your collagen intake. This multi-collagen, at its core, is made up of 5 key types of collagen. This ensures that you're getting key nutrients your body needs to keep you looking and feeling young and vibrant. If you want to combat wrinkles, you'll love 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒.com. Get up to 51% off Ageless Multi-Collagen for the next 24 hours by going to 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒.com or click the link in the description. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech fake news, the private wasn't central bank, their entire economic narrative is completely falling apart. We can see the economy is not doing well. We see inflation. We see supply chain issues. We see that there are problems in the economy. Now, we know, going a couple of weeks back, the Biden administration, they decided, you know something? We need the mainstream media, the fake news, to tell everyone that the economy is doing well. And this is exactly what they did. They started to tell everyone that the economy's fine, it's doing well, it's very strong. Don't listen to everything else. Now, just think about it. A couple of weeks before that, they were reporting on how the economy was completely falling apart. And then all of a sudden they changed their story. We had Jim Cramer out there telling everyone, yes, the economy is fantastic, the strongest economy we've ever seen. We had Jen Psaki out there letting everyone know that, yes, jobs are plentiful, there's no inflation, fuel prices came down 2 cents, everything is great. We know it's all fake, phony, and false. And what's very interesting is that Jim Cramer, he put out a tweet, and he shows the stores with empty shelves. And it says, suboptimal. Now, Benny responded to this. This is Benny Johnson. He said, you said a few hours ago that the Biden had the best economy in American history, you fraud. Right now, their message is so confused, they don't know which way to go, because with their own eyes, what they're experiencing, what other people are experiencing and telling them is not fitting in what the White House, the resident in the White House, is telling them to say. And now we have conflicting messages. We see conflicting messages everywhere, not just with the economy. And this is just going to get worse. Now, we know what's happening. The private Western central banks, they've started the ball rolling. The ball is coming down the hill. It's building up speed. It's like an avalanche. Once the avalanche starts, you can't stop it. This is what they did in the very beginning, where they started to push the stimulus and started to push their agenda towards the Great Reset. They thought they had it made in the shade and everything was great until Trump came along and countered it. But since everything is moving in that direction and they're destroying their own system, remember, this is going to be a controlled economic collapse. Remember, the private Western central bank, to bring us into the Great Reset, they're not just going to destroy the economy and just say, oh, wow, look at the chaos. It is always controlled. They know exactly what they're doing. Why? Because they need certain things to go a certain way to bring us into the Great Reset. But this time, there's a problem. And we know what that problem is. They don't have a cover story. And since they don't have a cover story, what are they going to do? This is going to be a huge problem for them, because as time goes on, the people are going to see more and more. Now, we've talked about this before. I had Bob Kudla on talking about food shortages and fertilizer, how the price of fertilizer is going to be going up. And what's very interesting is Mike G on Twitter saw this on Facebook, and let me just read what it says. This bay of fertilizer would have cost me around $18,000 last year. Today, we put it in for just over $40,000. A tote of Roundup, 275 gallons last year, $4,900, and today, just over $14,000. This is just two of the inputs for growing a crop. This is not a political statement, so do not take it as such. This is real world prices farmers are having to battle. So think about it. If the prices now are doubling or tripling, what's going to happen to food costs? Food costs are going to skyrocket. Actually, we might even see shortages because the farmers won't be able to get the fertilizer, won't be able to get the products they need, which means we're not going to see the same crop yield. Now, think about the private Western central bankers, the deep state players. They want to bring us into the Great Reset. Remember, we're at war, and this is part of war. So during this process, we know they want us in the Great Reset. They know that the food supply is going to disappear during this process. This is why they've been building the idea that, hey, you got to eat worms, you got to eat weeds, you got to, scrounge around for maggots or whatever, because they already know moving into the Great Reset, this is exactly what we're going to see. Now, remember, they thought this entire global economic system was going to be shut down for many, many years. That's not the case. And they thought that people would be busy, trying to find scraps, just trying to stay alive and in fear in their homes. Today, we don't have that. People are still doing things. The economy is not shut down worldwide. I mean, this is something they want, but they didn't get. So now people will be able to see this firsthand. They'll see exactly what's going on. And we know that the private and central bankers, they don't want the people to see the actual truth. Remember, they started the ball rolling. They want inflation. They want food shortages. They want all this, but they also want a cover story so the blame is not on them. This is why the Biden administration, the resident in the White House, told the fake news, listen, tell everyone the economy's doing well. He got instructions from the private Western central bank. They're trying to figure out a way to cover all of this up so no one thinks it's them. I mean, it's going to go to the resident, and then it's going to go past the resident right to the private Western central bankers. Because their mandate is what? Control inflation, which means the devaluation of the currency, and make sure everyone's employed. And this is not going to happen. Actually, it's not happening right now. And they're going to have a huge problem in the end. And this is why we've been seeing certain simulations with, like, cyber attacks. We had Israel with 10 other countries doing a financial simulation of a cyber attack. We also had the cyber pandemic, and I do believe these are both interconnected. And we need to remember, they're not going to bring down the entire internet. Remember, because in the end, they want everyone to use the central bank digital currency, which works over the internet. If they bring down the entire internet, how are they going to make the case that, hey, this would be a great currency to use? It's digital. Yeah, but don't worry about the whole internet going down because that won't happen in the future. No, people are going to look at this saying, something, I'm not going to go with that. I don't want the central bank digital currency because look what happened when the internet went down. Nobody has it. This whole thing would be a complete and utter disaster. So they're not going to bring down the internet. Yes, they can stop communications, but I do believe the cyber simulation where they were hitting financial institutions, they really don't have to bring down the entire internet. Think about the pandemic, for example. They used fake PCR tests. Then they had the fake news put out there that, hey, look, there's a lot of cases. Look, there's a lot of deaths, even though it wasn't. Same thing with the financial institution. All they have to do is hit 3 or 4 of them, and all they have to do is build the narrative. And then you have the other financial institutions say, for security reasons, we need to shut down so you can't get your money out. Would that cause chaos? Would that create chaos and have people running to the banks? Yes, this is exactly what they want. They don't need to do it on a grand scale. All they have to do it is on a couple of ones and then blast it out there and make everyone think it's larger than life. That's all they have to do. And remember, the cyber pandemic, I do believe they're going to be pushing this to shut down communications. Because remember, we are in an information war, and they don't want certain information getting out there. Now, what's very interesting about this, since the pandemic is falling apart, their narrative, they don't have a cover story of the global economic shutdown, we do believe that they're going to be heading into the cyber realm, trying to create the cover story using that. Now, what's very interesting about all of that, we have Nancy Pelosi, and she is buying millions of dollars in call options in Google, Disney, and many others. Now, this is very interesting. Why? Because she's buying it in Google, Micron Technologies, Roblox Corporation, Salesforce.com, Walt Disney. Now, does she get some insider information letting her know that some news is going to be coming out and these companies are going to skyrocket? Probably, Because remember, the system is rigged. They have the inside track. You don't. They do. How do you think they became millionaires? Working for the government. And I'm not just talking 1 million, I'm talking hundreds of millions of dollars. And she's not the only one. So she must have gotten a heads up that something is about to happen with these companies. Some type of news or something is about to happen. And once again, we can see how the game is played. They use information. They receive information because they're in the inside track. They're corrupt. They also use information to what? Shut down alternative currencies. So the everyday person thinks, hey, we shouldn't be looking over there. We should be looking at fiat.